Welcome to the SEO.co Search Engine Optimization Podcast. Digital marketing essentials and next-level tactics. From off-site and on-site optimization to persuasive selling and everything in between. You'll learn actionable tips on what it takes to outright and outrank your competition.
Welcome back to the SEO.co podcast, and part 3 and the last part of What's the Value of Your Digital Agency. Let's go over debt service coverage ratio. Continuing with the example from last episode of a $1 million EBITDA company looking to sell for $5 million. I like to compare such instances using the SBA 7A loan program to see if the deal is even fundable. In SBA 7A financing, debt service coverage, or DSC, is the way SBA loans are stress tested based on historical income. Debt service coverage is computed as follows. The SBA requires a minimum debt service coverage, DSC, ratio of 1.5 times on a monthly basis. They prefer 2 times debt service coverage. While today's interest rates make the cost of capital in the numerator above less than historical averages, most assumed valuations do not meet the 1.5 times threshold. The best rates on smaller M&A transactions today are what buyers can get from the SBA. In that case, we're talking about somewhere in the 7% APR range. At $5 million, 6% annual interest, which is very low, and a 10-year AM schedule, typical for SBA, the monthly principal and interest is roughly $55,000. If we throw that into our annual DSC calculation, we're looking at a DSC of $1 million over $55,000 times 12, which equals 1.51. In other words, we can barely even finance the deal at a $5 million valuation, assuming historical income and the fluctuating interest rate will continue forward at their current levels. So how do you bolster the value of your digital agency? In order to boost the value of your digital agency, you'll need to make it both scalable and sustainable. Scalability and sustainability require one or more of the following. Consistency in revenue. How consistent will the revenue be in the future? Historical revenues are typically used as a barometer for future performance. But what do those prospects look like? How will the agency continue to achieve similar or better historical sales revenues with new owners in place? How are you preparing for that reality? Recurring income. Consistent, recurring income, particularly those under contractual obligation to pay a given amount, is what high-value digital marketing agencies are made of. It's one of the reasons we moved to managed SEO services. Growth of revenue. You can't just say your business will continue to grow in revenue. It has to be a foregone conclusion. What avenues are currently being utilized for new client acquisition? Is that growing? Diversity of revenue. How diverse is your customer base? How many of your top clients make up more than 10% of gross revenues? What can you do to further diversify your customer base? Can you diversify by adding on ancillary but complementary services like we did with our blog writing service, which also bolstered recurring revenue? Integrity of process. Are your revenues sustainable? Are you adhering to industry standard guidelines, or is your business built on flash-in-the-pan tactics to make a quick buck? Sustainable revenue means integrity of process. Systems, processes, and standard operating procedures. Sellable businesses include teams of people who can operate the business regardless of who is at the helm. In other words, you'll be aiming towards creating a real business, not a one-man shop. Real businesses include quality team members and systems and processes that create reliability of services and outcomes for clients. The implementation of such standard operating procedures ensures the business itself will exist long after any single owner has had his or her hands on it. Because we've worked as both buyers and sellers of businesses, and because we provide a white label SEO service to other agencies, we know a thing or two about what it takes to build, run, buy, and sell a digital agency. We would love to connect with you and your team regarding your next transaction and how we can help. Get in touch, and thanks for listening to the SEO.co podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on the SEO.co podcast. We appreciate your time. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit SEO.co for more resources based on today's topic, as well as access to more podcast episodes to help you improve your site's long-term SEO success.